dark in here. Sorry, let me turn that light on. I am on I-4 driving to a drum circle, and I just wanted to let you know what the whole living in a van lifestyle was about. So I've been living in a van since 2012, and I first decided to live in a van because I was living with my mom at the time, and I wasn't making enough money to live any other way. So I decided to buy a van. I was saving up my money for a van, and my apartment manager was such a bitch to me, always threatening to kick us out, to evict us, and that's no way to live. So I bought a van, and the plan was to get it a little bit converted into a camper van before I started to live in it. And the original plan was to get a camper to live in that, but after doing my research, I realized that it's just not practical to live in a camper because I would have to tow it from using a car, and I would need a hitch to tow my camper, and then I would need a campground to park my camper on. And campgrounds cost like $42 a night. So I thought, hey, why don't I just live in a van? I know it's not socially acceptable. I know it's pretty taboo to live in a van. You're just considered homeless, which is why at first I was really hesitant about doing it, because I thought I would just be an outcast. But I kept doing my research. I looked online and I found this van dwelling community on Facebook. There's a group of people who live in vans. It consists of like 1,000 people. And they all love living in a van. They're all doing it by choice, and they just love the lifestyle. They're really self-sufficient. They don't rely on anybody. They do their own laundry by hand and cook over a camp stove, and I really admire those people. I really look up to them. So after finding this van-dwelling community of people who agree with what I want to do and who are actually living that lifestyle, I decided, I'm going to do it. I'm going to live in a van, and I'm not going to take this crap from my apartment manager. I'm not going to take this crap from my mom bitching about the dishes and shit. I'm going to move out. I'm going to live on my own, and I'm going to live for free. So that's what it was all about when I started living in a van. It was about the freedom lifestyle. Just being free. And also being economically smart. Not having to pay rent, not having to pay $700 a month for rent. That's how much it costs to live in an apartment, and just a studio apartment too. And then when you tack on all the expenses like utility bills, that is $800 a month to live in a small studio apartment. That's what you get in today's economy. So why would you put yourself through that? And in order to be able to afford this $800 a month, you have to work a full-time job that you hate, a boss that hates you. You're working your ass off. You have to make at least $40,000. So you have to go to school for 4 years and get this degree just to work your ass off every week at a job you hate, just so you can live in an apartment with an apartment manager that pisses you off. What kind of life is that? So in April, I moved into my van, and my apartment manager was threatening to tow the van because I had no license plate. So instead of converting it, I just moved into it completely bare with absolutely nothing in it. All I had was the bed, because there was a bed in the back already when I bought the van. So all I had to do was push the bed down. I had a blanket and a pillow, and I had some of those milk jugs that you get at the store, and that's what I used to contain my water. So slowly but surely I worked my way up from using milk jugs to getting a 5-gallon water tank to contain my water. And I just upgraded from everything. At first, when I started living in the van, I was not cooking at all. It had been a long time since I had a hot meal. I was just living off of protein shakes and granola bars and bagels and fruit, which is pretty healthy, but it's not really satisfying. You're dying for a hot meal. So it's a really good idea to get a camp stove if you're living in a van. You can get them from Walmart for $25, a 2-burner camp stove. It's powered from propane, so you get that little $3 1-pound canister from Walmart and a grill lighter. So you use the grill lighter to light the propane stove, and that way you will be able to have a hot meal in your van. And that is probably the best purchase you will ever make when living in a van, is a camp stove. You don't even need a 2-burner. You can use a 1-burner camp stove, and you can make soup and vegetables, whatever you want to make. It's also a good idea to be a vegetarian if you're living in a van, because meat spoils extremely quickly. But if a lot of van dwellers are a little bit more advanced than me, they have refrigerators and like a mini fridge in their van. And how they power this mini fridge is they have a deep cycle battery hooked up to their starter battery. And what a deep cycle battery is an extra battery that allows you to have electricity in your van. So then they get an inverter, and then they plug the inverter has outlets, so they plug their mini fridge into the outlet, and that allows them to refrigerate milk and orange juice or meat, whatever. So that's a really good thing to have. I have never had a mini fridge in my van, and I don't ever plan on doing that because it kills your battery. You would have to charge your house battery like every single day, which only requires driving your van pretty much. But I haven't even gotten that electrical hookup yet. I'm about to install it very shortly. I got 2 batteries from Walmart. Or not from Walmart. I got 2 batteries from a discount battery store for $84. So I'm going to hook up my house battery to the starter battery and get an inverter so I can have some electricity, and so that way I can power up my laptop and my cell phone and everything. That's also a good thing to have. Okay, looks like we got some traffic on I-4 here. Wow. That's why it's always a good idea to leave an hour before you expect to arrive at your destination in Orlando, otherwise you will be late. But anyway, I don't live in this car that you see me driving in right now. I actually live in a 1993 GMC Bandura, which is pretty much the exact same model as a Chevy G20. If you don't know what that is, it is a large high-top conversion van. And those vans are ideal for living in. I mean, they have a lot of windows, but they also have a lot of space. They're not very stealthy though, because, with a huge van like that, people just assume that something is up. But it's really comfortable to have a lot of space in your van. It doesn't get much mileage at all. It gets about 12 miles per gallon, so that's why I have another car, so that I can go to the city, and it won't cost me so much gas money. And so juggling 2 cars when you're living in one of them is not very easy. I pretty much live behind a rundown restaurant right now, and I keep both cars parked there. So I live in the van, and then when it's time to go out on the town, I just get into my Honda and drive to work or whatever. But what a lot of van dwellers do is they only have one car, which is their van, and they drive that van pretty much everywhere they need to go, and they park it in a different spot every night. That is the absolute best way to be stealthy, is to park in a different spot every night, so that way you won't get harassed by cops or civilians or anything. So if I only had one car, that's what I would do. In order to park safely in your van, you need to park where everybody else is parked. Like hotels and 24-hour McDonald's, 24-hour drugstores, truck stops, hospitals. Make sure it's a free hospital though, because a lot of hospitals these days charge, and a lot of hotels these days check the license plates. Apartment complexes are also a good place to park for free. residential neighborhoods are the best. Side street parking, like not in front of somebody's house, but in that area where there's a bush between two houses, you park right in front of the bush. That's the best place to park when you're living in a van. You won't get harassed because people just assume that you live there, you know, that you're a neighbor or a friend of a neighbor staying the night. I have parked in front of houses many times, and you just got to learn how to parallel park. It's also best if you're parallel parking to park on either the end of the street or the beginning of the street. Don't park in the middle, because then you run the risk of people parking. Sorry, almost crashed there. People parking so close to you. Okay. Yeah, you run the risk of people parking so close to you that you can't get out. And my van doesn't have a power steering pump, so it's kind of hard when people park very close to me. I need to have a lot of room to move. So it's good to parallel park either on the end of the road or the beginning. And that goes for any parking, really. Okay, it has been 11 minutes, and I think I'm going to let you go now. I will keep you posted on the van dwelling life. You can visit my blog for more information. It is called thecorinneexperience.tumblr.com. Okay, thank you for watching, everybody. Have a good night.